Hey everyone, how are we today? I will start just by letting you know that I will be doing sort of attaching an all signs reading to the end of this there. But I actually wanted to talk today a little bit about Lenormand, the rough history of Lenormand for everyone that's out there that may want to know a little bit more about the cards that I do use, because, you know, Lenormand is a little bit different to tarot. So, obviously they both are, subject of reading cards and receiving messages from those cards. But I do find that the way that I read Lenormand personally is actually quite different to the traditional ways of reading Lenormand there. So I just sort of wanted to talk a little bit about Lenormand today and sort of let everyone know a little bit more info about the Lenormand itself, as well as the new wave of Lenormand that we're really sort of have been seeing in the last sort of 10 or so years. Because, I started reading Lenormand, it was over 20 years ago now. I do have my first deck here somewhere or other. I've got so many Lenormand decks now that it's a bit ridiculous, but who cares? Okay, so the first deck that I ever used and learnt Lenormand on was this. It goes by a few names, I believe, but I know it as Titania's fortune cards. Okay, and as you can sort of see in this deck, the images are pretty, just very one image per card. Just to get those images there. So Lenormand actually is super based on imagery. Okay, so and that's what I sort of want to let everyone know when we are. Sorry, my lighting's just going a bit crazy on us there, but just I wanted to sort of let everybody know that there is a really high level within the Lenormand of, your own intuition and your own version of what that image means to you personally. Okay, because, imagery is sort of, there are quite a few things where, that we have universal things that do pop up with certain images. But then, each region sometimes does have different folklore stories that may be attached to certain imagery. Okay, so it really is one of them things where, if you're ever watching one of my readings and you do see a certain image, and that brings something to mind for you, around that image, I would really definitely be sort of saying, trust your intuition and take that on board with the message as well. Okay, because we do find, I'm just having a sort of a quick look there, like, yeah, and I will be upfront and just let you know that I don't actually like to use this particular deck in my public sort of readings. This is a very personal deck for me. Like I said, it is my very first deck, so it's just covered with my energy, and so I do sort of really like to keep at least one deck for myself, sort of thing. Okay, but like for example here with the mouse card, the mouse card can mean quite a few different things, and if you do happen to watch some of the there is a couple of other Lenormand readers on YouTube, and they do tend to stick a lot more to the more traditional way of reading Lenormand. Okay, so you will see that there are certain aspects that do come through with each particular image. Okay, so and then you've got that whole aspect too of, for example, the mice. Okay, some of the more traditional meanings of the mice card include things like, loss or theft. Mice would steal from the harvest. They would nibble away at things. They would chew holes in things. Okay, so you've got all that sort of traditional imagery. Back when the Lenormand was actually invented, it was originally, hang on, I'll come back to that. But, it was sort of, closer to the plague type era as well. So it really was, they were seen as a bit of a harbinger for, some more negative energy. But, these days, mice aren't necessarily that. Okay, a lot of people, myself included, have had pet mice at one point or another, and they are, they can be really cute and cuddly and all that as well. So that's how I kind of mean, some people absolutely hate mice, and other people, actually see them like, so differently to that image, so you really do need to take into account your own personal preferences when it comes to certain images. The snake is another one that's quite common as well. Throughout history, snakes have kind of been seen as a negative, as a bad thing. Obviously still a lot of people that do not like snakes whatsoever, but there also is a lot of people these days that have pet snakes and come into contact with snakes on a very regular basis as well. And so, totally different vibes from those two energies, right? So you're going to be reading, if I was reading personal reading and I was reading for somebody who had pet snakes, I would probably read that very differently to how I would read it for somebody who absolutely hates snakes or hates mice, so to speak, and sometimes it can even talk about that physical animal as well. So if somebody has pet snakes, and the snake or pet mice, and the mice card were to come up for them, it may be something to do with their actual pet, and I know recently I have experienced recently with the mice card that it has been popping out quite a lot for a friend of mine, and she's actually having a bit of a problem at the moment with mice getting into her house, so it can actually represent quite the physical, literal meaning of the cards as well. Okay, so we do really need to sometimes take that into consideration when you're watching Lenormand as well, I find. But like I said, I consider myself like part of the new wave of reading Lenormand rather than reading it in the traditional manner. Because if you do sort of watch any of the traditional readers, they do stick to some pretty, rigid forms of spreads and things like that. And they do rely very heavily on the connections between two particular cards, which is very important with Lenormand, obviously, to see how each card is affecting the other ones. But I find that I refer to myself as an intuitive reader. Okay, so I actually do rely very heavily on my intuition and my own, personal pizzazz when it comes to how I do read the Lenormand. And I don't actually tend to use the more traditional spreads like pretty much at all. Like sometimes I will use the past, present, future spread, but when it comes to the spreads that you'll see in the booklets, like the 7 card, the 9 card, I don't really use those. And the grand tableau, I have not used that recently at all. Like when I was first beginning Lenormand, and I did stick to some of the more traditional ways of reading that, but I have had so much experience with the Lenormand and their particular messages, and the way that me and the cards have gotten along sort of has grown and changed as I have as well, so the way that I do read the cards, sometimes if you do know Lenormand yourself, or you have experience with other Lenormand readers, and the way that certain things are read, you may be sitting there wondering, why am I saying this or whatever, when it's totally different to the more traditional meaning. And that's because, I'm reading my cards. I'm not reading the traditional person's cards. I probably would have a totally different outlook if I was sitting down with somebody who was a traditional Lenormand reader. Okay, but going back to the history of Lenormand, there, it was sort of developed back in, it was like the late 1700s, the early 1800s, and then it was actually named after Marie Lenormand, okay, who was a famous sort of cartomancy fortune teller. She called herself a necromancer as well. Very interesting historical figure there, actually. So, she did write quite a lot of books and things like that as well, mostly in French. So I haven't been able to read a lot of those, but she was a very interesting historical figure that the cards were named after, a very famous sort of fortune teller back in France back in those, the 18th century sort of time frame there. Like, side note, if you are a gamer and you have played the Assassin's Creed games, she actually is featured in those games as one of the characters as well. So I think you have to go and get something off her or something like that. So it's very, very interesting if you're interested in history at all there. But it was originally developed as kind of like a pub game. So, it was based on playing cards, so your traditional playing card deck. As I'll grab one of my traditional decks to sort of give you a bit more of a idea of what I'm talking about there. Sorry, I've got, like I said, so many decks. They're all over the place at the moment. Okay, but here's one of this is, the very, very sort of traditional deck here. This is just, it's called the playing cards Lenormand, I believe. It's something very, very, very simple, and it is a very, very old-fashioned type of deck. Okay, and so you can sort of see there in those cards that we do see the suits and the traditional playing card imagery for those as well. Okay, so they are based on playing cards, and they were originally used in like taverns and pubs. Okay, so that's sort of where the Lenormand originated. And, if you are sort of a new age, Lenormand reader, you may actually find yourself drawn to, do sort of readings in those sorts of settings. Like maybe that's just me, but I do like to take a deck with me when I do, go out to the pub and those sorts of things. And I find that the energy that you pick up in that sort of a setting is actually like amazing, and it really really helps strengthen your intuition doing on the fly sort of readings for random strangers at the pub. So maybe I'm just crazy, but that's something that I do occasionally do. So if you are a follower that has sort of run into me at a pub, and that's how come you're following the channel, hi. But that to me, that's part of Lenormand, okay, like part of Lenormand's history. That's where it started. So I do sort of like to, get back to the roots of Lenormand sometimes and do that for myself as well. Like I said, it helps bring out your own passion for the Lenormand. I have found that's in my experience, obviously there. But so Lenormand is actually super interesting, and like I said, based on the symbology of things, okay, based on how those symbols interact with other symbols. Okay, so what we're actually seeing in this sort of new wave of Lenormand coming on through in the last couple of years is quite a lot of the decks actually have extra cards, okay, and we're really able to these days, we're a lot more socially aware of different things these days as well. So respecting the history of the Lenormand, but also taking into consideration the modern aspects as well. So a lot of people will have sort of heard me talk about the male and female figures in the Lenormand decks there. So in the traditional decks, we do have a male and a female. In some decks, you'll actually have two of each of those as well. I personally, I do choose whichever one looks prettiest or is speaking to me the most, and I only keep in one of each. But these days I really do feel that it's more focusing around male energy, like the masculine energy and the feminine energy, rather than a specific gender. We, like I said, we're much more socially aware these days, and there's just no need to genderize those particular cards anymore. They usually are just referring to a person. Sometimes it's the person you're reading for. Sometimes it's someone they're asking about, those types of things, someone important to them. Okay, so all we need to know is that there's a person in your energy, right? And it's up to you to decide the gender of that person. And what I've actually found in some of the much newer decks is we are starting to see that being reflected by other designers and things as well. Okay, so we do have some decks that have got a non-binary type energy card in addition to the male and female, and I'll show you. I'm so in love with this new deck. Okay, I have received my new decks. For anyone that was hearing me talk about that last week, that I had some I was waiting for. This was the one I was actually waiting for the most. Now, this is the Red Hand Lenormand, and it is done by, you can find them on Instagram or Etsy, and they're all under Pixel Occult, okay? But he does tarot decks as well, but this is the first edition of the Red Hand Lenormand, and he does have another deck that he will be releasing soon, and I cannot wait, because I have just been absolutely gobsmacked by the beauty of this deck, but also some of the extra cards, okay? So this is what I'm really talking about when we're talking about this new wave of Lenormand. We do have this ability to bring in some more modern aspects into the Lenormand, okay? So even just with that non-binary type thing. But what we've actually found in this Red Hand deck, he actually has not only sort of a non-binary type card, but he also has a trans card and then an extra person card if none of those feel right as well. So you really can sort of choose which person figures do fit best for you. So, you know, I think that's absolutely fantastic that we are starting to incorporate these sorts of things into the Lenormand decks. And the other lovely thing about this Red Hand deck, I'm this guy's biggest fangirl right now. I'm sorry if I am going on a bit about it, but he does have so many new cards that have not existed in any other deck. Okay, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to make sure I do have the things, correct when it comes to the meanings of these cards, so that I can use them. And look at that, guys. Look at that. Like I said, I'm obsessed with this new deck. But like, look, we've got, the beetle card here, the moth card here, the hourglass. I know that one because we have seen in some of the other decks the idea of divine timing. So I'm sort of straight away drawn to that as my divine timing card. But, so there are so many new, and look, octopus. Okay, so he's got some beautiful new cards in this deck. So as well as he has got the two jokers. Okay, so he has based it on the original. He's got the original 36 cards, but he's expanded it out so that it actually covers a full set of playing cards. Okay, so anyone that does know, playing cards do have a lot more than 36 cards there. And he has expanded out, and added quite a few extra cards. But then he has added these two extra jokers. I'm just looking for the other joker there, sorry. Because I've already been trying to sort of get a hold of these cards in my energy and work them out so that I can start using them for you guys. But like I said, I'm absolutely obsessed with them. I have not been able to put them down. Okay, but yeah, so I will just show you too. These are the new cards that he's come out with. So we've got the cat energy. Okay, so in the original deck we've got the dog energy. In this deck we're seeing the cat in addition. Okay, so a little bit more observant and intelligent than what we would find with that dog. Okay, and then we do have the fungi card. This one's going to take me a little bit of time to get that one right. We do have this one's the ruins. Okay, so we're looking at things that have like fallen apart and broken and gone to ruin, so to speak. Okay, so like I said, with Lenormand being so imagery based, it's quite easy to get a feel for what things do sort of represent, because it's you see that an image of ruins and everyone sort of things have gone to ruin. It's decayed. It's like too much time has passed. Those kind of a vibe straight away. We do have the goat, which straight away I'm obviously going to connect this with Capricorn, but I'm also going to be connecting this card with the devil card from tarot as well. So if you know a little bit about tarot, you'll probably have a bit of an idea of where we're going with that goat energy there. We have the mirror card, which mirror is quite a common theme in, like oracle decks. And the author of this deck, he even states in the booklet that, you can use these extra cards as like an oracle deck. He's happy for it to be used as an oracle type deck as well. We have the rose, so that's like an addition to the bouquet, a secondary energy to the bouquet there. Just a little bit more thorny, because roses have thorns and they do have a few extra little meanings than what a traditional flower card would hold there. We've got the candle as well, which I love this imagery there. As you can see, the images in this deck are just insane, aren't they? They're gorgeous. And the city as well. So in addition to, some of the more place type cards in the Lenormand there, we do have the city, and then back to our original set there as well. But he has also added these two extra joker cards as well. Okay, so we see the void and we also see astral. Okay, so the void is kind of like, the black hole card. It's like the, this could like, I feel it's just letting us know that if that comes out in a reading, that you really, it's going to be like totally unknowable, unseeable. It's for the void. It's going to get sucked into this black hole where the outcome is just, it could be absolutely anything. I feel that that's like a definitely a wild card when it comes to being the joker card. Okay, and then we do see the astral card as well, so that does talk about things on that mind plane, the astral plane, telekinesis type vibe, talking, things in the 5D, not necessarily in the real world. Okay, so I just really wanted to show you guys that deck. I think I'm just like I said, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. So if I have sort of, I probably will reach out to the author at some point and be like, come watch my Lenormand. When I start using it, I will try to link him in and see if we can get his response on how he feels I'm using the cards, if he's happy with the way I'm using them or not. Okay, but like I said, absolutely can't wait to see this new deck of his as well. But yeah, it's Pixel Occult on Instagram. Okay, so I'm sure you guys will be able to find that. And the website was Pixel Occult as well. I do have it. It is written there somewhere. Sorry, I'll just double check for you guys and make sure that I can, I'll put it in the description box as well. Okay, but yeah, pixeloccult.com. So PIXELOCCULT.com. Okay, he does have a Twitter and an email there as well, but I'm sure you can find those through the website or the Instagram. All right, so and they're actually quite affordable cards too. So his second edition is currently available on his website, and it was only like $30 US, so it's actually quite affordable. Some of the decks can actually get super expensive, so I found that to be a bit of a bonus that deck was so affordable as well. Okay. But I do have two new other decks as well there. But before we get started on an all signs, I did sort of want to tell you guys a little bit more about myself and my intuition and the way that I read the cards. Okay, so I really follow what I'm being told to say. Okay, and a lot of the times I'll just say things without even realizing how it links up. Like I'm working from I have a base knowledge of what all the Lenormand cards, are about. I have a base knowledge of how they connect, okay? And what I've actually done is I've expanded on that quite a fair bit with my own personal, what those images do represent to me, okay? Because you will see me quite a lot using some of the more fairy tale references, pop culture references, and like I said, I feel that I'm, the more modern version of the Lenormand. Okay, so I do really, really like to, rely a little bit more on pop culture references and things like that when it comes to the Lenormand as well, because they are relevant now. Back when Lenormand was invented, those things did not exist. Okay, but nowadays we have quite a lot more shared knowledge across the world since the advent of the internet, so there is a lot more shared knowledge around the world. So certain things that may not have been readily available to people back when Lenormand was first used, those sort of references actually now are a lot more relevant to those individual images. Okay, because one I probably talk about quite a lot is with the fox card. Okay, I personally, I've been aware of the kitsune energy from Japanese folklore. I've been aware of that for quite a while through pop culture, through my own interest in Japanese culture and those sorts of things. Okay, so those sorts of things actually way more relevant these days than what they would have been, back in the 18th century. They wouldn't have even known about that, and same as, sometimes we do see certain things in decks that have slightly changed as well, because there is so many decks available now that some of the imagery is slightly different in each deck. And so with some of the decks that do have quite a lot of imagery, some extra meaning can actually be derived from that artist's depiction of the image. Okay, so finding some really interesting things depending on what deck you're using. Okay, and I do have quite, like I said, I've got quite a few decks, and I have actually, certain decks do have different vibes. Certain decks that I do use, actually certain cards will have completely different meanings to what they may have in another deck. Okay, so in a more standard deck, certain things may mean one thing, but then in a lot of these newer decks, they meaning a lot different things. Okay, I know I have used in some of my videos a deck that is a little bit more witch based. Okay, so it takes into account things like magic and tarot reading is on the cross card. Okay, and they're doing the cross spread on the card rather than it being that traditional Christian based cross there. Okay, so obviously different interpretations of a tarot cross picture than a traditional Christian cross picture. Okay, so we're finding things like that coming through a lot with different decks these days. And that's why I absolutely love this red hand deck having all these extra cards, because it's just going to give us that total extra layer to all these images and whatnot as well. But today I want to sort of I do have two brand new decks that have sort of only just come out in the last few years as well. Okay, and I've got here, just trying to find where I put so I don't mess up the names on us. All right. Okay, so this one is the Terra Lenormand I will be using, and this one here is the Seventh Sphere Lenormand. I will be swapping between the two today. Okay, but these are relatively new decks, but they are only the traditional 36. Much more traditional, but with just beautiful imagery. Okay, because that's something we're finding too these days, is the imagery changing quite a lot even within the 36 cards. Okay, because when Lenormand first started, like obviously, yeah, like I showed you with that playing card deck, the images were quite just your standard picture. Let's have a look. A letter, and that's it too. Like even with the letter card, the way that has changed just because of time passing since the invention of this deck. Back when this deck was invented, telegrams, letters was pretty much the only way to communicate with people at a distance. But these days we have online talking, texting, phone calls, all those things are now readily available to us. So that is obviously, changes the meaning of the card a little bit there, So you could these days you could actually pick a lot of people, yeah, you think sometimes maybe people don't even know what an envelope even is, because nobody really writes old-fashioned letters very much anymore, but they should have a picture of a phone these days. You're joking, but that's what everyone's sort of texting or whatever. But as you can tell, they do call me Michelle Crazy Fairy for a reason. It's because I am a little bit hectic sometimes. So I don't mean to be overwhelming and flip from one thing to another, but that's just me, to be honest. And you'll probably notice that within my readings as well. I sometimes I do need to slow down. I talk a little bit fast sometimes. And for all the people that are watching from overseas, I'm sorry if my accent is throwing you a little bit with certain things. Make sure you let me know if there's any problems with words I'm saying in my, like, with too much Australian accent, or slang that I'm using that you may not understand. Make sure you let me know so I can sort of help you guys out with what I'm actually trying to say here. But, and the other thing I sort of wanted to say when it comes to intuition is that, everybody has a sense of intuition. It's going to be different for everybody. But what they've actually sort of, if you look at it from a more scientific type way of thinking, right? When you're looking at your brain, and we've got the two sides of our brain, okay, and then you've got all like the grey matter in between. They have sort of worked out that intuition is actually, that grey matter being used, where it's linking the two sides. And you're actually receiving messages from both simultaneously, and that's kind of what your intuition is. Okay, so it's that sort of extra dimension, so you're not just based on logic, you're not just based on emotion, you're taking messages from both sides at once. And that's the way I really do love the Lenormand as well, and how I read the Lenormand. Okay, I'm taking things from the logical traditional meanings, what those cards actually mean, and then I'm taking things from the emotional side as well, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, what I'm, my intuition on that card and what it means for you at that time. Okay, and energy changes like constantly. Time is very, very fluid, so sometimes you might even find, I'll do one reading for one particular sign, and then the next day I'll do another reading for the same sign, and it'll be a totally different reading. I'm either picking up on a different group or within the collective, or our energies do change quite a lot, and we don't even realize it. You may have a bad day and you may have a good day, and it's, of course, that's going to change the messages that are coming out. Okay, so pretty much all the normal disclaimers. If anything doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. You don't need to take these things on board. It's totally up to you how you interpret what I'm interpreting. Like I said, I love for you guys to use your intuition when it comes to my readings as well. So if you do have anything in particular you're hearing, and you're sort of getting some extra information on top of that, make sure you're taking all that on board for yourself. And sometimes readings just aren't going to resonate. It may be for other people within the collective, because at the end of the day, we are reading for a collective. Okay, they're not personal readings. They are just readings for the entirety of your star sign, or people with different aspects that do watch multiple aspects within themselves. So, like, if they're watching their moon sign as well as their sun sign and their Venus or rising, we're going to be picking up certain things might resonate stronger than others. Okay, so something might speak to one side of you more than the other. So it's really, like I said, up to you guys to use your intuition as well. And like I said, intuition, being based in that grey matter, it's definitely something that can be learned. Okay, it's something that you train yourself to have a good intuition. Uh, I'm not going to lie. They have sort of, when I was reading about this grey matter thing, they were sort of saying that women do naturally have more of that. They have more firing when it comes to being able to get messages from both sides at once. No one's going to deny that there are certain physical differences between majority of males and majority of females. That is not sort of genderizing anyone. That is genderizing the physicality of a specific gender. There's obviously quite a lot of people that actually aren't fully in either of those categories. Okay, so so we're finding that people that do have higher intuition, like I said, majority of women do tend to have that ability just a little bit more than majority of males do. But of course, you're always going to find swapsies all over the place and different, like everything, it's on a spectrum. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you sit on that spectrum, but it is something that you can sort of train your brain. So if you're a very logical person, it's all about learning how to incorporate your emotions more into the logical things. And if you're an emotional person, it's all about bringing logic in when it comes to those emotions. So those definitely are things that can be trained. We can train our brain into so many different amazing things. Okay, so definitely intuition definitely can be learnt as well. Some people just have a higher natural intuition when it comes to certain things. Okay, and it's that mother instinct, I think. Like, that's why I identify as a very sort of a more feminine kind of a woman, and I've always kind of had that mothering type instinct. I've always had a pretty strong intuition when it comes to certain things, but that's something that I still have had to push to develop a little bit more. And I have sort of found, even just since I've started my YouTube channel, and increasing the amount of readings that I am doing, I'm noticing the difference with my intuition as well. Okay, so it's definitely something that, once you're putting it into practice a lot more, it's definitely something that you're going to, be expanding on your own intuition as well. Okay. So just being open to it, and being open to what your subconscious, your emotions are telling you, and those sorts of things. Okay, but like I said, for anyone out there that was questioning why my Lenormand style is so different to quite a lot of other readers, I'm not using traditional layouts, and I'm not necessarily using all, like, rigid meanings. I am expanded on those traditional sort of meanings, and I do really like to incorporate more modern elements, more modern meanings. Folklore, pop culture, like I said, I really do like to incorporate all that. Okay, so I do sort of consider myself an intuitive, modern Lenormand reader these days. Like I said, when I first started, over 20 years ago, I was more of a traditional Lenormand reader, but that's something that I've developed over time as well. Okay, yeah. So sorry about such a big spiel, but hopefully somebody might have found some interest there. Something, it's good to learn things, I think, personally. Like I've said in a few videos too, that I personally do find shadow work to be very, very important when it comes to Lenormand as well, and my personal life journey as well. So I do incorporate quite a lot of shadow work elements into my readings. So if I'm giving advice or things on deeper, more shadow work, self-growth type elements, of course I'm not forcing anyone to do anything, but that's personally, like, I'm not your therapist. You should probably get one. Everyone should, in my opinion. Once again, we're talking about my opinion, my interpretation. We're not talking about everyone else's. This is just my interpretation of the Lenormand cards, my opinion of the message. So it is going to be a little bit different. If you need to adjust that message slightly for yourself, go right on ahead. And like, at the end of the day, like I said, the history of Lenormand was that it was invented as a pub game. Okay, it was invented as just bit of a game in the pub, pass the time, while you're having a beer or whatever. So at the end of the day, there's no need to be taking cartomancy super seriously. Obviously, I understand there are quite a lot of people that do rely on that general advice, but at the end of the day, it is just general advice, and your life is your own. Free will is in existence, and you always have a choice how you choose to interpret, how you choose to enact things within your own reality. Okay, so I would never sort of want anyone to, make, especially when it comes to health decisions, legal decisions, things like that. I would never want anyone to do anything like that purely on the advice of any, card reader out there. You need to be taking your own personal factors into that. And at the end of the day, free will is a choice. I don't believe in taking someone else's word as gospel. You really need to be relying on your own self. Okay, I am someone who does sort of advocate for people following their self, and they're following your own heart. Okay, so at the end of the day, always follow your heart, and it shouldn't lead you too wrong. Sometimes it does, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, well, I'm just going to take an intermission, but I will attach straight on after, I will attach an all signs reading for everyone. Just a bit of an energy check-in, see what's going on. Okay, hey everyone, welcome to the all signs section. As you probably have just sort of seen, I have talked a little bit about the Lenormand itself, the history of Lenormand, and what that sort of means to me in the way that I read. But I'm sort of just going to move over into some readings for everybody else today. So whether you watch that or not, that's perfectly fine. But if you are interested in Lenormand, or you do have any questions about the way that I do read, that the answers may be in that portion at the beginning of the video there. But you're more than welcome to email me if you do have any specific questions, or leave questions on, comments. Let me know if there is anything in particular you sort of wanted to know a little bit more about there. But we are going to be I will be swapping between two decks today. I have got brand new decks, so I'm keen to sort of get into those decks and show you those. So I do have the Terra Lenormand there, and also the seventh seal Lenormand I'll be using today as well. Okay, now so we have just sort of this previous week we have uploaded the more in-depth the monthly sort of read, okay, for May next month there. But this particular all signs, we're just going to do a bit of a check-in, what's important for you to know sort of right now. And this is sort of, I do have my intention set is pretty timeless. So even if you're not watching this when I've uploaded it, it can sort of be watched whenever. So it will suit you whenever you sort of watch it, rather than a set time frame. But we are just going to sort of, like I said, check out what's going on at the moment for you there, and like what's most important for you to know. Okay, so we're starting off with Aries. So I'll make sure I leaving timestamps as well. So starting off with Aries there, starting off with the Terra Lenormand deck. Just going to do a really quick all signs today. Like I said, I have just sort of left quite a bit of chatting at the beginning of the video. So, if you do have any other questions, make sure you leave me a comment or send me an email, whatever. But what's going on for Aries? What does Aries need to know right now? I'm just going to be drawing my 2 cards, and I'll clarify if I do need as well. So we've got the cross and the sun for you, Aries. So there may be some sort of spiritual elements coming to the surface for you at the moment. You may be sort of revealing some sort of spiritual side of yourself that you weren't quite aware of. You may be having some esoteric sort of contact happening for you at the moment. So, that sort of stuff is totally different for everybody. Can also be talking about religion with the cross there as well. So we might be having sort of some sort of spiritual advancement, religious belief that you coming to the surface for you at the moment, being revealed to you. The sun is very revealing, but it can also just talk about just having that sense of happiness and warmth and freedom when it comes to your inner sense of calm and your religious or spiritual beliefs, just feeling quite calm and centered at the moment within yourself when it comes to those sorts of things. The cross also sometimes can talk about a bit of a burden, a cross to bear, so to speak. So anything that you have, been burdened by, it really does feel as though that's sort of all clearing out a little bit for you at the moment, and we're just overwhelmed with this just general happiness at the moment for you. So if you have experienced that already, awesome. But if not, hopefully, we will be experiencing that sense of happiness and freedom for you sort of sometime soon there. The sun, once again, very bright light kind of energy. It is sort of like, it's just such a beautiful energy, and it could even be things like, get out and about this weekend and enjoy the sunshine. If you've got some, go and enjoy it this week. In this particular card too, the cross sort of is represented by, we've got these beautiful wattle flowers here. So I don't know if everyone's going to know what wattle flowers really are. I don't know the regionality of those, but I do know that they are quite strong in Australia where I am. Wattle actually does really remind me of my grandmother. She absolutely loved wattle, but she was super allergic, so couldn't go near it. But she would always be asking us to sort of hold wattle in photos or whatever as well, so she could still see it and enjoy it. So it really gives me that sort of feeling of, just enjoying that peace within yourself at the moment, really enjoying anything of happiness that's in your life at the moment, Aries, and focusing on the positives at the moment. So absolutely beautiful for you guys today. All right, so moving over to Taurus. How are we today, Taurus? For you guys, I'm just going to grab 2 cards. Just a quick overview of what's important for Taurus to know at the moment. This is the 7th Seal Lenormand deck there. So what does Taurus need to know right now, please? Okay, so we have the garden and the book there. So these are brand new cards. So obviously I'm going to be discovering that this pastel theme doesn't necessarily work too great with my light setup. So sorry about that, but that is the garden there. There is a little rotunda up here and some flowers and palms in the foreground there. And we do have the book. This particular book does have a pair of glasses, shining above the book there. So it really does sort of bring to light, that element of knowledge and truth and, a bit of wisdom when it comes to your story at the moment, Taurus. I do feel with the garden is usually a very social card as well. And it can be talking about, places to meet people, going out and having meetings, those sorts of things. But it is usually quite a restful energy as well. And with the book there, I am sort of getting the vibe that, getting out and about, this weekend may be important to you, Taurus. Help you, really clarify what it is you want this book to be about for yourself. Okay, the book is all about new chapters, writing your own story, that kind of a thing as well. So I feel like getting out and about and being a little bit more sociable this weekend is actually going to really help shine a bit of light for you on the current story you're finding yourself in, Taurus. There you go. I did just sort of ask. I was starting this as a in just what's most important for us to know at the moment, but it does feel like it's giving us a what's going on this weekend kind of vibe. Okay. But moving over to Gemini there. Um, just grabbing a couple of cards for us today, Gemini, seeing what's important for us to know at this current time. Okay, so whatever time that is for you while you're watching, what's most important for Gemini to know? What's going on for Gemini? What does Gemini need to know, please? Okay, so we have the scythe there and then the bouquet. Okay, so the scythe really does talk about, sudden changes and maybe a break in a previous situation and then heading into this flower energy. So whatever, if we have been in a bit more of a negative energy or anything like that, lo and behold, there is a break from that. Okay, we are the scythe is quite sudden too. It can be a bit unexpected, a big unexpected sort of change, something coming on in pretty quickly, that's very giving, very it may actually be a physical gift coming to you. It could that sense of giving, and the flowers is always a super positive rewards type of pleasure type of card. So definitely seeing some changes coming for you at the moment, bringing in a bit of happiness as well. Flowers is a super happy sort of card as well. So definitely looking at some positive energy on the way towards you. It may not be here just as of yet. Like I said, we are seeing some sort of unexpected, sudden sort of change coming on through. But lo and behold, whatever that change is, it is going to, work out in your favor, and you are going to want to, receive that energy and give back to that energy as well there. So absolutely gorgeous for you, Gemini. But having a look at Cancer. How are we today, Cancer? I'm just doing some quick little messages for everyone today. See what's sort of going on. What's most important for Cancer to know, please? What does Cancer need to know right now? Okay, so we have the garden. These cards just do not want to pick up in this lighting. I'm sorry. And then the mice card there as well. Okay, and so we do see in this mice card a few images that, this is a brand new deck. So we are seeing a few images here that aren't in any of the other mice cards. So we have a skull at the back there with some fungi, some mushrooms growing on out of it there. Okay, so I feel that that's talking about, the loss element of the mice, and with the garden, we're talking about like something social, some sort of social event that's going on around you at the moment. Maybe some meeting a friend or meeting up with somebody at the moment, and then there will be some sort of sense of loss coming from that meeting, but then growth as well. Okay, because the mushrooms really do give me that feeling of regrowth and growing from the loss. Because when mushrooms, they do sort of grow quite often in in compost and stuff like that. So it's like things that may have been lost, or especially with the skull imagery there as well. Things that we might have lost or ended, actually growing new opportunities for us. So whatever this is, it's probably going to be nibbling away at you a little bit. And it might be, I feel like it's actually sort of going to be niggling away more at this meeting or more at this friendship. Okay, so the garden being a very social based card, I feel like there's going to be something niggling away, between yourself and someone who you're meeting up with, or that you you know, I just get that meeting up kind of vibe with the garden, but it feels like there's another person here with the garden as well. Okay, so some sort of loss connected with this person or this meeting, but it's sort of, it may be restricted to just this meeting. Okay, so you might be missing a meeting, or like you might be losing out on meeting up with someone. You had plans, and then for some reason you lost your plans, but then you're going to grow something brand new instead. Does that sort of make sense? I hope that makes sense, but that's what I'm getting. So I can't really, you know, I'm not going to elaborate on anything that's not, you know, coming through. But I am just sort of getting that, yeah, like it definitely could be like a missed meeting or something like that, but that's going to actually grow some new opportunities. I really am getting the sense of growth with that mouse card, which is kind of odd to go with the mouse card, but it's sort of, it may even be like you've missed a meeting in the past, and you've like you felt more negatively about that, like, oh no, I missed that, I miss meeting up with that person. But then you're actually going to, you know, and it's been sort of nibbling away at you a little bit, that you missed out on that. But then it's actually going to come back around and some new growth is going to occur from you missing that. Okay, so if we're missing something at the moment, Cancer, you know, and it could also just be like, you know, you like, yeah, just missing. I'm getting that vibe, the missing something. When I said that, it just kind of triggered something for me. So, yeah, but it's definitely something social related. Okay, so whatever we're missing there, it's some social connection with whatever it is that you're missing or missing out on. It, like, it feels a little bit like that, you know, that fear of missing out kind of vibe. So, you know, lo and behold, you're not missing out on anything. You know, long term, you're going to get some growth coming back through from that. So even if it's you know, chewing away at you a little bit that you've missed out on something, don't worry too much, Cancer. Okay, so that was a little bit odd of a random message there. So sorry about that, Cancer. But we have just uploaded the monthly for May readings as well. So if you want a little bit more in-depth reading for yourself there, Cancer, make sure to check that one out. Okay, so moving over to Virgo. Oh, sorry, no, Leo. I nearly skipped ahead there. Sorry about that, Leo. May have some Virgos that are important to you at the moment, connected to you somehow at the moment, Leo. They're wanting to sort of rush on in and you know, take your place, apparently. that might resonate for some Leos out there. There we go. What does Leo need to know right now, please? Okay, so we have the Anchor, followed by the Clover card there. So the Anchor really does talk about, you know, things that might have been weighing you down, feeling a little bit stuck in certain scenarios, or maybe like could also just be that, like, feeling quite secure within certain situations there, Leo. You know, but the Clover is kind of the short-term good luck vibe. Okay, so anything that has sort of been weighing down on you or making you feel like you have been a bit stuck, it's kind of telling you to take a bit of a risk with that Clover. Okay, so you know, it really does talk about good fortune as well. So there's obviously a reason that you have been a little, you know, the Anchor is quite a still card. Okay, so it's quite you know, that stagnant kind of energy. So anything that is feeling quite stagnant at the moment, it's kind of letting you know that, you know, it's fine to start taking risks now. You know, it could be related to money with both these cards here. I do find sometimes that will indicate financial things. Okay, but good fortune, taking a bit of a chance, taking a bit of a risk. stepping out of your comfort zone at the moment for you there, Leo. So whatever that means to you, Leo, let me know in the comments how that resonates for you there. I am just trying to do some super quick messages today, but if you do want a longer reading, I have just uploaded the May monthlies this week, so check that one out as well. Make sure you leave me a comment so you can go in the draw for that free personal when that's drawn as well. Okay, so now we'll move over to Virgo. How are we today, Virgo? Just doing a super quick little check-in today. So what does Virgo need to know right now, please? What does Virgo need to know right now, please? Okay, so I did have one fly out there. The one that flew out there was the Mountain. Sorry about that. These cards really don't pick up very well on this screen. I'm going to have to take that into consideration in the future. They are brand new. So the Mountain there, we're seeing that you have, that flew out, so it sort of wants my attention. It does want us to know that, there is something that you have been putting quite a lot of hard work into, something that, you may feel has been a bit of a challenge. You've felt delayed with that particular thing, and it's very, very possibly to do with a relationship from the past. Okay, and it just feels like you've just been like putting in so much hard work when it comes to that. I'm not getting a clear vibe on. I will just grab you an outcome for that. Okay, it's obviously quite important to you if I've got the Mountain climbing on out there, like climbing on out there. So you have been climbing this mountain, I feel, for a while. The Tower, is another tall, big, insurmountable type of thing. So there's something there that it does feel like you're really struggling getting over this relationship is kind of what I'm getting from that at the moment, Virgo. Why does Virgo need to know about this, please? Why does Virgo need to know about this, please? Okay, so we're seeing the tree and then the star as well. I feel like the star is just a bit of a side note telling you that, there was some heavy wishes and desires connected with this relationship. You were trying to reach the top of that mountain to reach that star, but it's high above the clouds, high above your thoughts. It may be, I feel like it's actually talking about, I do feel that with all this climbing high, insurmountable thing vibe I'm getting, I feel that that's kind of letting us know that this particular wish may be out of your reach at the moment. Okay, and then with the tree there, as you can see, I feel like this card is much more important to, some sort of advice, outcome, when it comes to this issue, because you can see sort of the mountains in the background there. And what we're seeing is, especially right here, this mountain here, we've got this tree, and it looks like the tree is climbing up the mountain. Okay, so I feel like you're really, the reason that this is feeling so insurmountable is because we're really needing to focus on ourselves and our self-growth when it comes to this particular issue. Okay, so when it comes to this, if it is a relationship in the past, it could be a relationship in the past. It could be, some sort of past cycle. The foundations that you're laying with connections. It's definitely talking about some sort of relationship connection there. But it may be somebody older than you as well. But it really does feel as though you may be focusing on the wrong thing. You're trying to focus on this star at the top of the mountain, whereas you should actually be focusing on the journey and how far you are coming with your self-growth. Okay, I really feel like that's the message for you today, Virgo. That maybe we're just focusing on the wrong things when it comes to this particular connection. Yes, you have been putting in all this lovely hard work, but at the end of the day, is the hard work for yourself or is it for this connection? Okay. Is the hard work in aim to reach the stars, or is the hard work in aim of growing yourself? And I really feel that maybe we need to just change our focus just a little bit and focus more on our self-growth, and staying sturdy within ourselves as well. You know, trees and mountains, towers, they're all pretty immovable. Okay, so I feel that that's the kind of thing, you know, you being this, you know, rock solid for yourself. Okay, and remember that it's all for you and yourself alone. Okay, I feel like somebody out there does need to know that they do need to sort of focus on yourself for a while. Don't worry about the other people in your connections. Worry about you know, yourself. You know, so that's what I've got for you today, Virgo. But moving over to Libra. How are we, Libra? Um, just doing some super quick readings today, just sort of seeing what Libra needs to know right now. What does Libra need to know right now, please? Okay, so we're seeing the Tower and then the Scythe card there. Okay, so just grabbing a read on this Tower card. These are a brand new deck, so I'm just making sure I've got the energy correct. So yeah, that particular Tower is definitely talking about you've been in some sort of like solitude, hermit mode. It feels okay because you can kind of see there that Tower is an island all on its own. So you've been a little bit, you know, Rapunzel up in her tower, keeping to yourself a fair bit lately, but we are seeing a sudden change coming on through. So for some reason or another, you know, you do not need to be in this strong mode of keeping to yourself, keeping yourself locked away, suddenly needing to change that and, you know, break free of this Tower. You know, I do feel it's got that real escape sort of vibe at the moment. There's something that you need to sort of, you know, let yourself free, find that freedom and make some sudden changes in your life to help yourself, you know, feel more free, feel more connected. Okay, you don't need to be locking yourself away quite as much as what you may have been of late, Libra. Okay, so that's what I'm getting for you there. Make sure you leave me a comment and let me know how that resonates. Okay, but moving over there to Scorpio. How are we, Scorpio? Just doing some super quick readings today. I do have my brand new decks with me. So I've got the Red Lenormand, and for you guys, I'm actually using the 7th Seal Lenormand there. So basic Lenormand decks, no extras in this deck. But what does Scorpio need to know right now, please? What does Scorpio need to know right now? Okay, and I'm just going to grab a clarity on that. Is that Scorpio actioning or somebody else needing to action for Scorpio, please? Ooh, Scorpio, what's going on? We're seeing the heart and the garden there. And then when I've clarified that, we've got the moon. Okay, so that's telling me that there's sort of you needing to take some sort of action at the moment, Scorpio. Follow your heart. There's somebody that you want to meet up with. I'm really feeling that there's a person waiting in this garden for you, and there, you know, it's a very social card. Getting out and about, meeting up with somebody, basically. And I'm really feeling that this is your desire. You currently may have a crush on somebody, or you want to meet up with somebody. You want to meet somebody that you haven't met before. This may even be somebody you don't know. Okay, so you might be wanting to meet somebody new. If that's the case, you know, I feel with that moon card, it's kind of letting us know you've got some really good luck at the moment to get out there and do so. So if you want to meet somebody new, now really is the time. Feels like it might be a really good time to you know, put some actions down for you there. You know, you know, the moon can be quite emotional as well. Talk about a little bit of emotional sensitivity, but I'm feeling that that's linked up with this heart card there. Okay, so I'm really feeling that Scorpio's got somebody in mind already, and you know, wanting to make an emotional move towards this person, wanting to let them know how you feel, that you do have this hidden desire for this person and that you would like to meet up with them. So go for it, Scorpio. That's you know, if that resonates for you, go for it. Okay, you're well supported there. Okay, so moving on to Saggy. How are we today, Sag? Just doing some super quick readings today, just to sort of see, you know, what's important for you to know right now. So what does Sagittarius need to know right now, please? I have uploaded the monthly May reading, so if you did want a longer sort of reading, make sure you check that one out. What does Sagittarius need to know right now? Okay, and why does Sagittarius need to know that right now, please? Okay, so you're getting the ring and the heart. So we're definitely looking at some sort of love connection that, you know, for some reason you need to know right now that a love connection is important, and it's important for you to put in some work. Okay, that's what I'm kind of getting there, Sagittarius. I honestly cannot remember. Once I do, a lot of the time, once I do a reading, it just completely wipes out of my mind. But I did just upload the May monthly readings during this week. So there may be something in the love portion of that we need to be aware of at the moment, okay? Because it does really feel like you are sort of needing to put in a bit of work at the moment in order to transform this love connection. But we're definitely looking at a love connection here with the ring and the heart. For some people, it may not be a direct love connection. It may be sort of talking about cycles of love, you know, and just looking more generally at the connections that we've had with love, and looking at the certain cycles that we've been going through when it comes to love. But definitely looking at the need, you know, especially this is the mountain. So it does sort of say putting in a bit of hard work so that we can turn any obstacles or delays with this connection into opportunities. All right, and this particular deck, we've got the butterfly imagery there, so definitely talking about, you know, transforming, metamorphosizing. So, you know, turning something that may not be exactly what you want it to be, but really talking about transforming that into that beautiful butterfly so it can become that opportunity. So talking about transforming your hard work into opportunity when it comes to this love connection. Okay, so whatever that means to you there, Saggy, good luck with that. Let me know how that resonates for you. But moving over to Capricorn there. How are you today, Capricorn? Just doing some super quick readings today. Just what does Capricorn need to know right now, please? Okay, and why does Capricorn need to know that, please? Okay, so I'm getting a bit of a message straight away. This may not resonate for everyone, but we have got the bear and then the child. And then when I've asked for why you need to know that, I'm seeing the rider, okay? So what I'm seeing is that, you know, this is like the mama bear, and then we've got the child. So we're feeling super protective. At the moment, we're in a protective mode, and I feel like the person we're protecting is actually ourselves, Capricorn. You know, so you can kind of get that vibe that this mama bear is protecting her inner child, protecting her innocence, protecting her, you know, that sense of innocence, that sense of things in their infancy. So it may be talking about, you know, them side note of some new beginnings as well. But, you know, I'm feeling that Capricorn, you're in a super protective mode at the moment, and it's kind of protecting yourself quite a lot. So whatever's gone on recently for you, Capricorn, needing to look at why we are being so because I'm getting that it's not just protective, it's overprotective. Okay, so we're like, not letting ourselves be vulnerable. Okay, children are super vulnerable. Okay, and we kind of need to let this child out of the bear's clutches just a little bit, I feel, especially with that rider coming on in, because we are seeing some good news on the way. Okay, so I feel like that's why we need to know about this, because we need to just dial it back just a little bit, make it a strength to be protective but not overprotective at the moment. Okay, let that inner child out a little bit, give that child a bit of freedom, I feel, at the moment. And this good news that's on the way will be much better received, and it will actually give it that opportunity to come on in as well. It may not be able to come on in until we back off a little bit. I am just getting the message with that bear pretty strongly that we need to dial it down a little bit. We need to back off a bit, back off, bear, and get your bear spray out, and let that child grow. Okay, so whatever that means for you, Capricorn, it's going to let some good news come to you. So bring it on. That's moving on to Aquarius. How are we, Aquarius? Just doing some super quick readings today. Just looking at what does Aquarius need to know right now. Okay, Aquarius. Wow, looking at this energy, Aquarius, that's got a super great vibe to it today. We've got the ship and then the sun. Okay, so you can kind of see this ship image is I can't remember the name. What are they called? I have no clue. I cannot. I know, and it's totally out of my mind. But the flying ship. Okay, it's a flying ship, aero something. Okay. Like I've said, I'm mind blanked on the name of what that's called today. But yeah, we've got a flying ship in this image, so we're sort of flying straight into that sun. And there's that thing, that whole Icarus thing as well. So that just came to mind as well when I said flying into the sun. So be careful you're not burning too brightly at the moment, Aquarius. But also that we are flying straight into happiness at the moment. Okay, the sun really is happiness and freedom and that beautiful warmth and that loving sort of glow. Okay, and we're flying straight on into that at the moment. The ship really does talk about adventure. It can talk about physical travel as well. So you may be traveling somewhere that's going to make you super happy at the moment. But even if that's just metaphysical traveling at the moment, we are sort of moving. We're on that journey at the moment, moving into happiness, and that's what you need to know right now. So who am I to hold that message back? It is just a short, sweet message today, but let me know how that resonates for you, and let me know, what happiness the sun reveals for you, Aquarius. Last but not least, we'll be saying hello to Pisces. How are we, Pisces? Just doing some super quick readings today. As you've probably seen, I have left a big front portion of the video where we were talking a little bit about the Lenormand, how the Lenormand cards work and all that sort of a thing, how I personally read the Lenormand. So I just wanted to finish it off with my two brand new decks. So I've got the 7th seal deck here for you at the moment, Pisces. What does Pisces need to know right now, please? Okay, and why do they need to know that? Okay, so we're seeing the sun and then the mice there, Pisces. Now, I have been getting the sun for quite a few signs today. So you maybe check your other placements as well. But basically there, I am sort of seeing something being revealed to you, okay? That sun is going to be revealing something to you. I feel like it's going to be revealing, bringing something to light, bringing out the finer details of something there. And the mice card, it does sort of have a few different meanings there. This particular, this new deck here, we are seeing it's a skull at the back with mushrooms growing out of it. So we do really have this brand new element in this mice card as well, okay? So what I'm thinking is that, yes, we are seeing some finer details being revealed to you about something that's been eating away at you, about something that's been chewing away at the back of your mind. Some sort of, it quite possibly is talking about some sort of ending that has happened, that we're going to start seeing new growth revealed in that ending, okay? So something that you thought was lost, finally seeing some new growth starting to come out of that, because mushrooms, they grow out of decaying things, okay? So something that has been decaying or lost completely, the mice can talk about lost or stolen type of energy, that things that have been taken away from you. But we're definitely seeing something new growing on out of that. And like I said, I feel like it's just talking about something coming to light, some finer details coming to light, about maybe just some of the finer details about this loss or this thing that's been chewing away at you, maybe just some finer details about that. And the reason that you need to know about that, we're seeing the ring, and you can sort of see here in this ring card. I'm sorry, these new cards really don't want to pick up very well on the video here, but that's the ring there, and that actually is the infinity symbol above that there. So we're talking about a connection that's really important, a cycle that's really important, for you infinitely. Something that's super important for you infinitely. It could be very related to, this could be talking about some sort of love connection, but it's something, like something that some sort of cycle that, is actually a long-term, infinite kind of cycle for you. So the reason we need to know about this particular, the loss, that the more details might be revealed about that loss or that thing that's been eating away at you. You need to know that for infinite connection, like to strengthen your own cycles, okay, to strengthen the cycles that we go through, possibly within connections, okay. So I'm getting both of them quite strongly. So I think we're looking at, whatever's going to be revealed by this sun and mouse card. I feel like it's talking about, you need to know this because it's going to help strengthen your knowledge of the cycles that you're in, and how that's going to strengthen connections in your life. Okay, so I hope that resonates for you guys. Let me know. Obviously it's just something that you apparently need to know right now, Pisces. So however that resonates for you, let me know in the comments, and anyone that comments will also go in the draw for that free personal when that's drawn as well. But thank you everyone for all your time today, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks.